This is exactly how you're going to grow the longest, healthiest hair of your life in 2026 using science. And this is coming from someone who struggled to grow long hair for years. I've been chopped 3 times, and it's only over the last 3.5 years that I've finally been able to retain length without protective styling. Nobody in my family has long hair, so trust me when I tell you, this is not genetics. This is a lot of trial and error, and frankly, spending way too much time reading hair care research. Everything in this list falls into one of 4 categories: scalp health, hair growth, damage prevention, and damage repair. This might sound like a lot, but there is a logic to it. You don't need to do everything. Take what works for you and leave the rest. Grab a notebook and a pen, because I'm about to throw a lot of information your way. Disclaimer: the easiest way to grow long and healthy hair will always be to leave it alone. That usually means any low manipulation, low tension style that's easy to remove so you can still care for your scalp underneath. But I don't want to do that. So these tips are built around the fact that I'm not willing to follow the easiest or most common path to long natural hair. In fact, it's built around the reality that I do a lot of things that are technically very damaging to my hair. So just keep that in mind as you're watching this video. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so the very first thing that has changed in my routine is that I now use a scalp serum. Scalp serums can help you achieve your hair length goals quicker, but probably not the way you think they can. When we talk about hair growth, we are typically referring to 3 things: accelerating the rate at which hair grows out of our scalp, prolonging the growth phase of hair so it grows longer before it sheds, or minimizing breakage so you can retain as much length as possible. Spoiler, most scalp serums cannot do 1 or 2, so please don't waste a fortune trying to get them to do that. On the other hand, a lot of them can be beneficial for scalp health, which indirectly can help you retain length better. Scalp health matters far more for hair growth than most people realize. What research shows is that when your scalp is irritated or unhealthy, the hair growing out of it is literally of lower quality. It's weaker, more fragile, and breaks down faster. This comes from a meta-analysis of 20 studies on the effect of scalp health on hair growth. Different scalp conditions resulted in different negative effects on length retention and hair quality. For example, dandruff and seborrheic dermatitis are associated with lower hair shine, more hair loss, and lower hair diameter. There is also a correlation between scalp conditions and hair being more likely to break when put under stress. The good news is that this is reversible, and the moment your scalp condition will improve, so will the quality of the hair growing out of those follicles. Now, the most effective way to maintain scalp health is regular shampooing, which we'll talk about as well, but something else you can add on top to help is a scalp serum. Actives to look out for are ketoconazole, but it's more commonly found in shampoos. It can also potentially aid with hair loss. We'll discuss that later. Pyroxenolamine, zinc, pyridine, and other antifungal agents that are commonly found in shampoos, or HNAs and BHAs like salicylic acid and glycolic acid. Those are chemical exfoliants that will help you achieve a more healthy scalp. So how can you implement this? A lot of scalp serums will have instructions to use it daily. That is not easy if you straighten your hair on the regular and don't want it to revert at the roots. So what you can do is put your hair into tight bench knots before going to bed, or any other hairstyle that will keep your roots stretched before applying the serum before going to bed, and that is what I do now. Now, like I said earlier, the easier way to help your scalp is to shampoo more often, and this is beneficial for everyone, even those of us with textured hair. It's a myth that people with textured hair cannot wash their hair frequently. In fact, more frequent washing is associated with better scalp health without negatively impacting overall hair quality. There is a study in which the participants were Africans and Black Americans with type 3 and type 4 hair, and all experienced an improvement in cleanliness, itchiness, dryness, and dandruff. But this also holds for people with non-textured hair. In 2 different studies, people with straighter hair not only reported that the scalp felt healthier, it also appeared healthier, and there was no compromising of the health of the hair. What I'm trying to say here, you should probably wash your hair more often if you sometimes experience an irritated scalp. The tricky thing is the practicality of it. A lot of you, same as me, probably cannot wash your hair more often than once a week. I hear you. Aside from scalp serums, something else that you might want to look into is a medicated shampoo. Medicated shampoos typically contain the same actives that you'll find in scalp serums. Ketoconazole in particular is extremely effective at treating things like seborrheic dermatitis, dandruff, and actually it's the most effective ingredient on the market for this purpose, but it's also very drying. Nizoral is the most popular shampoo with ketoconazole in it, and some evidence now shows it might be an effective treatment for hair loss. There are two mechanisms through which it can do this. Number one is what we already talked about, reducing scalp inflammation. Number two is through acting similarly to a DHT blocker, which is helpful for people suffering from menopausal hair loss or female or male pattern hair loss. But if you are suffering from that kind of hair loss, you shouldn't listen to me. You should go see a dermatologist as soon as you can. Alternatively, you can try something like a basic head and shoulder shampoo with Protectants, Olamin, or zinc pyrethin. All of these are antifungal and can help you extend the amount of time your scalp can tolerate not being washed. I do want to say, these shampoos need a bit of time to work. You can't just directly wash them out. So what I like to do is apply them using these bottles designed to allow you to apply products close to your scalp. I like to rub it in or massage my scalp outside of the shower for a few minutes and then be on my phone a bit while I wait for them to take action. I try to shampoo as often as I can, with the limitation that I cannot do it as often as I would like because it would require me to style my hair in a very damaging way more often. So for me now, this is about once a week. Some weeks I try to stretch it up to 10 days, but my scalp cannot take more than that. Beyond that, I know it gets irritated and it needs a proper cleanse. That benchmark is going to be different for you. You just have to see personally, but what is very important is not letting your scalp get into that irritation zone. Something else I need to mention, you need to avoid anything that will irritate your scalp even more. A lot of oils and occlusives help create an environment in which fungus will thrive. So be careful when it comes to anything you apply directly to your scalp. Speaking of oils, I think I need to speak again about coconut oil because I have been a big advocate for it on my channel, but I recently stopped using it as a pre-poo, even though it has a ton of studies showing it's very helpful and it's one of the best oils you can use on your hair. And I think I need to explain why, because I found new information on coconut oil. Firstly, to link it back to scalp health, coconut oil actually has antifungal properties to a certain extent. A large scalp microbiome study found that coconut oil reduced dandruff scores and balanced scalp bacteria, thus promoting a healthier scalp. This will not work for everyone. It being an oil, it might trigger inflammation for you. I cannot stress this enough. Do not carry on with anything that makes your scalp feel more irritated, even if it has been proven to be helpful. Another thing coconut oil can help you with is damage prevention. There is a small 2022 study that showed that hair oiled with coconut oil was less likely to break off. There's a small problem though. It's possible this only holds for Caucasian hair. This is why it's so important to carry out these studies on multiple hair types, because textured hair does not behave the way straight hair does, and I will die on this hill. The study I just mentioned is not the first study to have found that coconut oil increased tensile strength in hair. A 2024 study done by L'Oreal found the same thing. But although the researchers found that coconut oil increased tensile strength in straight hair, it did not have the same effect on textured hair. The hypothesis the researchers have as to why this is the case is that the configuration of the corticals of textured hair makes penetration a lot more difficult. Also, coconut oil is able to decrease porosity in hair by preventing hair from soaking up too much water. And it is a good thing for people with Caucasian hair, but typically people with straighter hair will report that the hair feels more moisturized if it has less water content in it, meaning that the hair feels nicer when it contains less water, while it's not as good of a thing for people with highly textured hair because studies have showed that textured hair behaves better and is less likely to break off when it has a higher water content. So in the event that coconut oil would be able to actually penetrate textured hair, this would mean that it would prevent textured hair from absorbing water as much, which would be detrimental for textured hair. Now, this is only one study. It's possible that the findings are not replicable, but it did make me pause, and I have been a big coconut oil advocate on this channel in the past. I've been using it for years as a pre-poo, and since this made me reconsider, I felt like it was important I shared it with you guys. I wonder if this is why so many people say their hair feels brittle when they're using coconut oil and they're experiencing protein overload from it. It can cause protein overload because coconut oil in itself doesn't cause protein overload, but if it in fact could penetrate your hair and lowers the potential for water to get in, your curly hair would feel less supple. And on the other hand, if it doesn't actually penetrate your hair, I'm assuming it would still form a film that would make it harder for water to get into it, since typically coconut oil is applied on dry hair. Just wondering, what can you do with that information if you have textured hair? Use occlusives such as grease that will help you keep your hair retain moisture for as long as possible. By the way, you can can still use coconut oil if you've been liking it. Again, do with this information what you want. I'm personally looking for another oil to replace the coconut oil I was using because I do think the pre-oily step was beneficial to my hair in some way. Naturally, we're always going to use a mask or a conditioner. I want to use this moment to debunk a popular myth. Masks and conditioners functionally do the same thing. You really should just pick whatever formulation just works better for your hair. Tip conditioners do not hydrate, moisturize, penetrate the hair more than conditioners on average. It's just marketing. This is information that I got from multiple cosmetic chemists, so just use whatever your hair prefers. My two favorites are the Amica de Cure mask and the Red Can ABC conditioner. The Red Can ABC is particularly amazing because it contains citric acid, which has been proven to increase tensile strength. This is such an amazing conditioner. I recommend it to everyone. If you want the benefits of the citric acid, you can get the L'Oreal Ever Pure or the L'Oreal SF version, but they are not formulated the same way. They are not dupes for the Red Can ABC. The Red Can ABC is several magnitudes more conditioning than these other two. But again, if you are just interested in the citric acid, you can get the drugstore version of the technology. By increasing tensile strength, your hair becomes more resistant to mechanical damage. The ABC line and the Cure line are my favorite lines of products I've ever tried. I just wanted to throw my recommendations out there. I only detangle my hair in the shower and I do not use conditioner to do so. I know this is going to sound odd, but it's what has always worked best for me and I think I now know why, so walk with me. I like to apply the conditioner or hair mask in 2 steps because at this point my hair is tangled because of the shampooing process. So what I like to do is apply the product, try to coat my hair as well as I can, wait the recommended time period and then rinse it out. I keep the product in my hair for the recommended time period written on the packaging, not longer. There's no point in keeping the product longer in your hair than what's written on the packaging. Most of these products are simply meant to coat your hair. They're not going to penetrate. And in the event that they do penetrate, the manufacturer know how long it would take for their product to penetrate. So just make your life easier and follow the instructions on the packaging. It makes no difference if you keep them in for very long or not. Then, and this is going to sound odd, but it's just what works for me, I like to detangle my hair under the shower. The pressure of the shower elongates the curls. Essentially, it makes your hair straighter and easier to comb through. If you have good water pressure, try it. It works so much better for me than any product with slip. When the hair is mostly detangled, I apply another small amount of conditioner or a hair mask along the length of my hair and I brush it through to make sure every single strand got coated and that everything is well detangled. Okay, so I said that I know why this works better for me, and that's because detangling textured hair when wet is less damaging than detangling it while dry. This has actually been studied. This is the amount of force required to detangle straight hair when it's dry versus when it's wet. You'll notice that it's more difficult to detangle straight hair in a wet state, while the inverse is true for people with curly hair. So I think this actually works on me because my hair is at its wettest when I just keep it under running water, and it's the most my curls will be elongated essentially because of the weight of the water. Also, I think that what happens is that the water pressure of the shower is going to help push the shed hair down, and all of that combined is going to make it easier for me to detangle my hair. We're going to do more damage prevention through our leave-ins. To be more specific, this applies to the usage of heat. I think by now everyone knows you should use heat protection. They help make the diffusion of heat more even, thus avoiding hot spots and damaging your hair this way. This is typically with silicones. Silicones in general are great. They actually help preserve cuticle integrity. Silicones also help you straighten your hair using less passes. They also prevent breakage up to 86%. So yeah, the takeaway here is we love silicones. We will keep using silicones. Not all silicones are created equally. The study that I just referred to when it comes to the benefits of silicones actually compared different types of silicones. I will show on the screens the ones that perform the best and what popular products you can find them in. But I personally really love Kérastase Silon Thermique and Red Can One United. By the way, I'm not sure how many people are actually doing this, but I've seen a few shorts and TikToks of people talking about using mineral oil before straightening their hair because of its benefit on hair. And while I think mineral oil is great, the same study I'm referring to here actually found it increased hair damage when used before heat because it's occlusive and retains water in the hair so well. well. And while this is something that you want normally on coily hair, you don't want this when you're applying heat because it has the opposite of a cooling effect. What is the opposite of a cooling effect? It will make things warmer. You get what I mean. Don't use mineral oil before straightening your hair. Finally, I want to talk about reducing damage during the styling process. I do this by using the Dyson Air Straight, but you can use something else. The important part here is not causing any mechanical damage. Because there is no brush to the Air Straight, there is no snagging, no pulling, so it's a much gentler way to heat style your hair than those dreadful blow dryer brushes with the round bits that will rip out your hair. This doesn't apply to you if you don't use heat, of course. That's always going to be better than using a blow dryer to stretch your hair. But I don't want to do that, so I blow dry my hair when it's about 80% dry using medium heat, wet mode, and high airflow with the Dyson Air Straight. Low heat doesn't get my hair straight enough for my liking, and on the other hand, the highest heat setting is right around the range where cuticle degradation starts to become an issue, and it evaporates water so quickly that it can leave my hair feeling dry. So I do this before either styling my hair with mousse or before using a flat iron. Remember that you don't have to do everything that I talked about. You don't have to use the same products. My only hope with this video is that if you're struggling with your hair, you can take something with you here that will help you out. I know a lot of the products that I recommend are expensive. I am working on trying more drugstore products so I can provide you with more affordable options. For example, I am currently trying out all drugstore bond repair products on the market. So if there is any product you'd like to see appear in that video, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in another video of mine.